Alright, so in this video I'm bringing you guys a deck profile of my Gem Knight block deck for the new format. So for this deck I basically wanted to make use of Black Dragon because I feel like this card is really powerful with a lot of potential. It just doesn't have the right supporting cards to utilize it yet, I guess. And the best way I could think of to use it was actually Gem Knights, and it works extremely well in there. You can have really powerful OTK plays with this deck. The main issues are there's some inconsistencies. You can't really play if you don't get a fusion card. And also the Gem Knight fusion monsters usually don't do anything besides like provide beat sticks. So otherwise it's very aggressive, and you can put a lot of damage on board, and I'd say it's pretty good for a casual deck, but you can't really beat anything that like meta, like Burning Abyss or something like that. You'd definitely lose. So we've got 3 Gem Knight Lazuli and 3 Gem Knight Obsidian. So these are obvious. These are the best main deck Gem Knights easily because they just give you back Gem Knight monsters to use for fusions in the future, basically. This one's probably better in my opinion because if it's sent by any card effect from anywhere to the grave, you get to add something. So, and this one's only if it's sent from your hand, though this one also works if it's sent as cost. This one's special summon, so it's better than adding to hand sometimes, but this one's just easier to activate. But those ones are all obvious. And then the Gem Knight normal monsters, because those ones only work with normals. You have 2 Gem Knight Amber and 2 Gem Knight Lapis. Okay, so this one's a Gemini monster, so it counts as a normal for all of the purposes of the Gem Knight cards. This one actually, the effect comes up sometimes, so you do need this for the effect for some combos. And then this one you're playing because it's a level 3 and it's a rock and it's earth. So that's extremely useful. Level 3 is super useful for rank 3s, and that comes up a lot more than rank 4s. This is not a rock, but the other Gem Knights that I play are all rocks. And everything is an earth in the deck except Crystal Rose. So this is the last Gem Knight monster, technically. It's not a Gem Knight, but it's basically a Gem Knight. So this basically, it just helps fill up your graveyard a little bit. It gives you a light that you can use to make Seraphonite, and it removes itself from the graveyard, so you don't have it in the grave blocking your block golems, because block golem needs to only have earths in grave to work. 3 Black Dragons. So this card's really good. This plus any of the Gem Knight fusion stuff is just really powerful. By itself, without any of the Gem Knight fusions, it can be kind of dead because you don't have any way to load up your grave for it. But basically what you do with this in the deck is you summon it, and then you fuse this with a Gem Knight fusion for Zirconia, and then its effect triggers to add 3 Gem Knight monsters from your deck to your hand, and you can just keep fusing. And then at the end of the turn, you'll have 3 engraved, so you can just special summon it again, and then it's just a beat stick, or you can use it for rank 6 or rank 8. I mean, the searching effect is once per turn, but the special summoning is not once per turn. The 2 block golems. You usually use this to make a rank 3, or you use it to summon back 2 Gem Knight monsters and then use those for a fusion. And so this is just a pretty good card. Next, another new one, we have Sentry Soldier of Stone. So this one, basically, it special summons itself from free from the grave, and you can use it to make a Zirconia with a fusion. And you can also use this for free rank 3s. So this is a really good card that I think has a lot of potential also. Next, 2 Fossil Dinos. So this floodgates a lot of stuff right now, and it's the main problem with it is they just attack over it. But usually what you do is you search this off of Block Dragon, and you just combo off, and at the end of your combo you normal summon this. And then your opponent has to go to battle phase before they can special summon if you don't kill them that turn. So it helps a little bit. I think it's probably the best option for a level 4 rock that you can search, because there's a few other ones like the Quakimeros, but I think this one's probably the best choice. 1 Gaia Plate. the Earth Giant. So I'm not playing more because I don't really want to brick with this. It's not as good as Black Dragon because it's really only a beat stick, but this is a nice card that you can have. You can search it off of Black Dragon, and it can beat over almost anything. The only things it can't beat over are things that are unaffected, basically. So, because this halves your opponent's attack when it battles them, so it can't beat over things like Megazord because it's unaffected by this, but this can beat over like the Cosmos ships and stuff like that. So, I like it as just like a utility, and also for rank 8s. You only have to banish 2 for it, so it's a little bit easier cost-wise than Black Dragon. 2 Maxis, you go and play 2. Maxi is really good in here because it's an Earth, so you can banish it for Black Dragon. Black Dragon, you only need to banish Earths to summon it. This one, you need rocks specifically. Yeah, and you can only search rocks off of this, but you only have to banish Earth, which means you can banish stuff like Amber, which is an Earth but not rock. Same with Maxi. So this is kind of obvious. It's just a good hand trap. And then onto the spells. We have 3 Gem Knight Fusion. This card is critical. You just add it back to your hand and reuse it. Usually you use it like 4 times or more in one turn because you just keep adding it back to your hand and keep using it. And it works extremely well. The Gem Knight decks really do need that to function. And then almost as important, 3 Brilliant Fusion. This loads up your graveyard. It makes it so Black Dragon is immediately live, and it's basically a free summon because the Lazuli that you send to grave with this adds a normal monster back to your hand that you also send with it. I generally send a Lazuli, a Lapis, and an Amber, so I have access to both of the normals, and then I add one of these to hand depending on what I need in the grave and what I need in my hand, and also what I need banished. And sometimes I will send an Obsidian also if I just need to get that into play. If I already have access to Amber or Lazuli, then I can send this instead of one of them, and then banish this and get it back to my hand with Amber. And then triple Absorb Fusion. This card is really annoying, but you have to run it. This has such an unnecessary restriction where you can't special summon monsters except for Gem Knights the turn you activate it. But you need this to add consistency because it's not consistent without it. You usually are adding your Gem Knight Fusion with this card, but if you already have a Gem Knight Fusion, you'll add probably an Obsidian, but you can add any Gem Knight monster if you need it. And you basically never use the effect to banish Diffuse with this card because you don't want to banish your monsters, you want them in grave. So this is basically just like a themed searcher that restricts you for that turn. I think actually the restriction where you can't special summon except for Gem Knight monsters should have been put on this card. That would have made a lot more sense. It's not necessary on Absorb Fusion at all, while on Brilliant Fusion it's proven to be splashed everywhere. And then 2 different dimension reincarnations. I thought about playing 3 of this, but I'm not sure if it would brick or not. I think 2 is probably fine. So this is another combo piece. You banish a lot of your stuff for Black Dragon, Gaia Plates, and also the Gem Knight Fusion. And then you can just special summon it back and continue your combos. This also gives you a way to discard, which is useful for your combos. It activates Obsidian's effect, and also puts the Sentry Soldier in grave so you can special summon it, as well as Crystal Rose so you can special summon that. And it loads up the grave for Black Dragon. You can also just pitch Black Dragons and they can summon themselves from grave. It's basically the same as if they're in your hand. There's really no difference. And it also loads up the grave for Black Golem for that effect. So there's a lot of stuff you want in the grave in this deck, so pitching is very helpful, and special summoning from Banish is also very helpful. A lot of times what I like to do if it's a slower game is I'll banish this for Gem Knight Fusion, and then special summon it back with full attack. Because you summon this off of Brilliant Fusion, so you should 0 attack when you summon it. The only problem with that is you can't special summon it again the same turn, so you have to wait a turn and summon it with this then following, essentially. And then 3 Twin Twisters. Once again, discarding is helpful, and this deck likes to go second. You have the extra card to combo with. It's really tough going first. You basically brick less if you go second, and this helps you play through whatever your opponent set up on their first turn. And then one of Soul Charge is obviously powerful. That's pretty self-explanatory. Foolish Burial, because once again, loading up your grave is good. Usually you'll send a Black Dragon if you don't have access to that, because you do really want the Black Dragon. And then one Upstart just for a little bit of extra consistency, because this is a combo deck. The Brilliant Fusion, Gem Fusion, and Black Dragon are the key cards. If you have a hand with all 3 of these, which I have before, you just go wombo combo and just make insane fields, basically. And then the extra deck. So for the Gem Knight Fusions, we've got 2 of the Lapis Lazuli. So this does come up occasionally, the second one. Usually you're summoning this off of Lady Brilliant Diamond. This is the one you primarily summon because it puts another rock in your grave, which is really helpful. And then the burn damage is nice. I've actually won a couple games because of that, but it's kind of just a extra benefit. You're mainly playing this just to dump cards and get extra effects and continue your plays, basically. And it's level 5 for rank 5 plays. Usually if you're summoning 2, it's because you're summoning the first with Lady Brilliant and then the second one with the Lapis, which is another, actually, that's a good reason to play a Lapis, but the main reason is it's a level 3. This is just an extra benefit that you get. One Seraphinite. This does come up sometimes to get the extra normal summon, and then it helps because it's a level 5 for rank 5 plays. One Prismara. This is probably the least used in the extra deck, but it's spot removal for problematic stuff, which does come up. 3 Zirconias. Zirconia, you usually use all 3 every game. I would play more if I could. Basically, this needs only a rock to fuse with, so you end up fusing with like your Silver Sentries and your Black Dragons, and even 2 Gem Knights if you don't have the correct ones to make anything else. And you can just make this, and if you don't have 3, and you can make rank 8s with this, and yeah, Zirconia is really good. And then 1 Master Diamond. Usually you'll summon this off of Lady Brilliant. It's basically just a beat stick. That's what that's basically what it's there for. You can also summon this with 3 Gem Knights if you've already used your Lady Diamond. But if you're doing that, you might as well just play 2 Lady Diamonds. The main reason to play this is because it's a beat stick you can summon off of Lady Diamond. And then Lady Brilliant Diamond, the best one. You could possibly play 2, but that's probably too situational. You just tribute off even itself or your weakest Gem Knight and summon like a Lapis Lazuli, and this is what you summon off of Brilliant Fusion essentially every time. I don't think it's ever a good idea to summon something else. And then the Exceeds for rank 3s, you got 2 Gorgonic Guardians and 1 Levier. Levier helps extend your plays basically, and Gorgonic Guardian is really powerful. It's removal, it's a lockdown monster, it helps you get over stuff. If you don't know what it does, it's a quick effect. You can negate your opponent's monster's effect and reduce his attack to 0. And then during your turn, you can pop a monster that has 0 attack. So, yeah, you make that a lot. It's also a rock, but it is not an earth. Rank 5's just Durendal. Usually, if you make this, you'll have a Brilliant Fusion out. So, and it's a dead Brilliant Fusion at that point, so you can just have them pop the Brilliant Fusion. It's basically a negating effect for free. And then rank 8s, we've got a Felgrand and a Hope Harbinger. You do make these quite often because you summon so many Zirconias, and those are just beat sticks, and these actually have really good effects. So, yeah. Good monsters. Side deck, I haven't really thought about it too much. This is just an idea of what cards you can side potentially. 2 Ghost Ogre and 2 Veiler. Just hand traps. These are also light to work with Seraphinite. And then 2 Denkos. You don't really need the normal summon a lot of the time. So if you're playing against a lot of back row, then you can just side this in. I would definitely recommend that. One Grand Mall. You can search this off of Block Dragon for problem solving. I don't know if that's worth it at all, but it's level 3. And then removal, 1 Regeki, 2 Dark Holes. I side this in most things at this point. 2 System Downs for Cosmos. ABCs, if those are out by the time you're watching this video. They're not out now. 1 Vanities, 2 Royal Decree, trap stuff, obviously, and if you're going first, for whatever reason. Yeah, I don't know. So I haven't really thought about the side deck too much. I thought more about the main deck. Oh, also, just to point out, so this searches any combination that equals 8. So the main things that I'll show you all the options that you have and tell you what I usually do. So you do have the option to search itself, and you also have the option to search this. If you do either of those, that's the only thing you search because it's 8 exactly. I have never done that actually, but it's the option. I think searching this might be good if you're playing against certain matchups like Cosmo. And you also have the option to search 2 Fossil Dynas, but I think that's a bad choice. I don't think I would ever do that because there's really no reason to have the second one. You might as well just search this and a 3 and a 1. And this is what I most commonly do. Not necessarily this 3, but so this is the only 4 and this is the only 1. So these 2 plus a level 3. And then your 3 options are Obsidian, Lapis, Block Golem, and the Sentry Soldier. So you basically search whichever one of these 3 is the most useful in that situation, which could be any of them. I've searched all of them before off of this. And then the last option, this is the second most commonly used option. It's also a good one. You can search any 2 of those plus Crystal Rose. So that makes 6 and 2. So this is another good option that if you need Crystal Rose, or more likely you need 2 out of these. So you can do that instead. So those are your options to search off of Block Dragon. So hopefully you guys all enjoyed the deck profile. I just really want to make use of Block Dragon, and I think this deck does so effectively. So hopefully you guys all enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to check out some other stuff.